figured as
No, I was going to say, I always strictly by the rules. Yeah, so I remember he and she came over.
Okay, Mike. Let me have a drink first. Put a glass of wine or red or
I think that's mine. Do you know? Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Go to the first slide, because I'm back.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to sit down, we can then get started.
Yeah. Well, firstly, can I formally welcome you all here today? And can I, without forgetting this, thank Michael for A, the use of the building, and B, the food and drink that's been made of. Thank you. We have, in fact, of course, two special guests today. Kenneth Lockwood, who I think most of you have met, and Dominic Bruce, who I think some of you have met. Welcome to those two gentlemen, and you'll be hearing more about from them later on. We've also got some new members here today. I think there's one going to join today, and several of you are here for the first time. Welcome to you as well, because you come all over the place: Yorkshire, Ayrshire, Kent, the Netherlands. Thank you for all making the journey. If you'll bear with us then, for about 20 minutes, half an hour, we'll be doing some society work, first of all, and then, of course, you'll hear Dominic speak. Just to show you, looking at the back there with the video running, the camera never lies. Kenneth, in fact, pointed this out to me. There's a photograph here in the Times of the 24th of last month, and it shows 5 gentlemen in apparently the park at Colditz with the castle in the background. It must be a very good camera, because in fact the original shot of the 5 men was taken in Leipzig railway station. And I think that's been superimposed. Was extraordinary how they identical. Well, anyway, there we are. The newsletter, you all got a copy, I hope. There is one glaring error, which is largely my fault as the so-called proofreader. Is it Richard or... I think it's Richard. It should be Ray, of course. I apologise, I put that in the next newsletter. Sorry about that. I hope you like the format. It is, I think, a better quality. And perhaps it's in the envelope, if you've already found it. I think our membership is now touching on 50, just below, 48, 49. So, you know, from little acorns, we had a membership of about 5 in 1991, I think. So it's heartening to see the numbers going up. Mastermind is now underway, this series, and Joe tells me that it's the 26th, we think, of June. So if you like Coronation Street, you've got a dilemma here, I think.
It's a shame about the wife, isn't it?
Two one of the prizes is 2 of the After the Battle editions, which I'm sure most of you have seen. Just for information, there is one photograph towards the end of that Colditz piece, which has a large number of the RAF contingent from Colditz in the part in the middle, as usual. And there are 2 unknowns on the photograph, and in fact they are Peter Aruba and Usima, 2 Czech pilots, Czech squadron, and so that's been given to the After the Battle, and they hope to put that into a future edition as an update. And sadly there have been 3 fairly recent deaths of Colditz men. A Pole, I won't even begin to pronounce his name, Kenneth, you can always do this for me. Thank you. George. That was in April, and in May, on the same day, as I think some of you read in my bits and pieces, Mike Harvey and Derek Gill passed away, sadly. Now, I know that Mario would like to say a few words, but first of all, can we perhaps have Patrick to say a few words about 1997?
Right. Again, in your pack, there's you can look at afterwards, there is an itinerary of what we plan to do for our next trip in April 97. The 50th, of course, which was a great success, and I think a unique experience for everybody. So we tried to make this one a little bit different. It's actually leaving on the Thursday to the Sunday, the 3rd of April 97, so in about 9 months' time. And we intend to fly to Munich and go to Eichstätt and Dachau on the way up to Colditz, and spend a whole day in Colditz, hopefully organise for you something interesting that isn't sort of normal run-of-the-mill. And then on the Sunday, before we go back and fly back from Leipzig, we intend to spend half a day in Dresden, having an excursion there. Whilst in Munich, maybe a few beer halls, maybe an excursion around some of the places where in the early 30s things horrible started to happen. We've still got to work on that. There's a price in there which is for the 3 nights is £399, which is only £10 more than we paid 2 years ago, so I've tried to keep it as competitive as possible. Hopefully prices won't go up, but being a year ahead, one doesn't know. But the basic itinerary is planned, and I'd be grateful, because everything is now, British Airways wants a deposit and we need minimum numbers. If you are going to come, could you please send back to me the tear-off slip on the itinerary as soon as possible with your intention, so at least as a committee we know whether the thing is going to happen and how many people approximately are going to go. If you've got any questions, having read it afterwards, I'll be glad to answer them. And if later you have, then my phone number and address is also on the bit of paper, so that you can ring me up or write to me as appropriate. Thank you.
Most of you, if not all of you, have heard about the Colditz Castle community. I thought it only right to tell you a little bit about this organisation, as after all, the Society is an honorary member. The castle is 950 years old this year, and on August the 31st, September the 1st, there's going to be a bash in the castle, with speeches and what have you, and there is a possibility that I might be able to get over there, possibly with Patrick, to coincide with the recce for this 1997 trip, because we did it last year. We went there before, remember, and sorted a few things out. We hope to do the same this year, but combine it with this meeting in Colditz. Fortunately, Hugh Bruce, and to a lesser extent myself, managed to persuade the organisation over there to change its name from the Colditz Castle Society, which we thought was going to lead to tremendous problems. And so this name, Colditz Castle Community, has been established. The association and the society are honorary members. We stressed, and I think the association also stressed, that there can be no financial help from us in any way. And 2 representatives from each of those organisations, their names have been put forward, and they are Kenneth and Hugh, Bruce, and myself and Michael, respectively. As far as I can see, the object is obviously to raise money and to save and develop the castle, and as a spin-off of the town as well. because with the porcelain factory and the brewery either closed or near closing, they've got trouble there, as you know. Jens Malmen has been made the chairman, and he's in a slightly difficult position, I think. That's a personal comment. But we know him. He's a good chap, as far as I'm concerned. He speaks English perfectly, and he's very keen to get people involved from Britain and other countries outside Germany. I understand there are about 25 members outside Germany who've become individual members of the community. We had a meeting in May, which I don't think went quite as planned. Reading between the lines and reading on the lines on occasions as well. There's obviously some tension over there. The idea is to transfer the castle, I believe, eventually the ownership from the state to the community. And they can organise two fundraising campaigns, one called Action 60,000, which I think refers to the United Deutschmark to raise initially. And the main areas of refurbishment are the small gatehouse at the beginning of the castle, the guardhouse itself, which is going to house the museum, the cellar house, the western terrace and the chapel. There's rather like the courtyards, there's an inner committee and an outer committee. The inner one being locals who meet fairly regularly, and an outer one that contains people from other parts of Germany and foreigners who meet perhaps once or twice a year. And they're desperate to get outsiders to join, as I say. There are a number of problems that I can see. For example, at the meeting, I believe that Malmen was slightly compromised or embarrassed by the fact that the mayor produced something out of nothing and just presented this to the rest of the committee without telling Jens Malmen. Some members present were very critical of the presentation and the preparation went into the meeting, an inaugural meeting, and that comes out in the minutes. It was a 3¼ hour meeting and got quite heated on occasions, I understand, and they gave Jens a bit of a hard time. There's a little bit of East versus West there as well, I think, East Germany, West Germany. Some members are very insular. I suspect that some of them have a communist legacy of someone else will do it or a reactionary view. Dresden wanted a complete account of the community's proposals within 4 days, and I should imagine that Jens worked 24 hours a day for 4 days to produce this. I haven't yet obviously read it through because it's largely in German, but it's obviously the plans, including maps, design and photographs of what they intend to do. But there are some people there who don't want any change and others who want change yesterday. So, you know, I've got reservations about it, but there we are. That's a personal view. As I say, Patrick and I perhaps hope to be out there in the early autumn. And I'm going to write to a particular ex-prisoner member of the association who was in Eichstätt, was a very important prisoner there, and was also pretty important in Colditz, to see if he might accompany us. He, in fact, was one of the main engineer on the Eichstätt tunnel. I also have links with Eichstätt, by the way. They produced a little booklet there a few years ago on the whole history of the town, including the war period. It was a police training college, I'm not sure what it is now. So that's the community. Now, Mario, would you like to say a few words?
Sorry, could I just tell you? Something I forgot to say, if you are going to come on the trip, and we really do hope because that you are, could you let me know by June the 15th? Because I have to tell British Airways by June the 20th that it's a go or it's not a go. Thank you.
May I sit down here?
Yes, well,
Okay. I have to use the paper. Well, I'll just stand for a moment. I apologize for using a paper to read from sometimes, but I'm Dutch. I would like to tell it in Dutch, but I suppose that will be a problem to you. So I have to do it in English, but I sometimes have to look on the paper to remember what I like to tell you. Well, there's only one lady? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, especially for our new members, I will introduce myself very shortly. I am Mario Bos, I live in Rotterdam in Holland, and I became member of the society in 1991. I visited Colditz several times, the first time in 1986, when it was still East Germany, and the last time was last summer, when it's right. You could have read that in the last newsletter, in newsletter number 10. 1 week ago, Michael Jacobs, which is another member of the Colditz Society from Holland. Unfortunately, he could not come today because, and he gave me permission to tell that, he is saving money for his honeymoon trip to Indonesia, somewhere on this year. But Colditz will not be forgotten on that trip, because Michiel van der Heuvel, which was the Dutch escape officer, is buried there, and he will, of course, visit the grave and lay some flowers. So we will pay respect to this great man, one of the Dutch prisoners of war. Well, what I want to tell you one thing is about Colditz books. In 1974, I got my first Colditz book, which is a Dutch edition from the book of Reinhold Eggers, the white one. I haven't seen it here. Well, that was the beginning of my collection. Now I have a bookshelf, I think it's like this, with Colditz books, which I collected all the years. And the collection is still growing. I regularly visit second-hand bookshops in Holland, but I find that it's getting more and more difficult to find books. It has happened a day I visited 6 or 7 bookshops and I went home with empty hands. Perhaps you have also the experience.
He was there before you.
All of you know, of course, the English books, but there are also books written by Dutch prisoners. One of them is what's lying over there from down from the car. This one, which is well known. It's a pity it's not in English as far as I know. And another book I will show you somewhere during the meeting is written by Leo de Hartog. I think you know that book, Kenneth?
Yes, good, but it's only in Dutch.
Yes, and that's what I like to say. I regret that. I think that book would be worth to be translated in English.
What are you doing? Market it with
It takes me too much time. But there are many photographs in it, so perhaps for that it's also interesting to have. But what I like to tell you is Michael and I regularly visit second-hand bookshops, and sometimes we find books we already have. And I would ask if there are members who want to have Colditz books, independent what it is, please let me know. Of course, you can look in England or in Britain, but if you are able to look in Holland, perhaps you have a little bit a bigger chance to get it. You must be lucky, I say that, but perhaps we can help you. So, if you have interest, please let me know. We will do a try. We visit regularly the bookshop, and perhaps we can be lucky to help you for the book. The second thing I just want to say, which is a little bit of personal note, is about the newsletter. I have already written some articles. I know from David and the other committee that you appreciate. I must say, I like writing. I hear something knocking.
Yes,
I like writing, so for me it's a pleasure to do. However, it's a little bit difficult for me. I have to do it, I say it again, in English. And I would prefer it in Dutch, but that caused a problem. Marco suggested me to write an article together. Marco has an enormous knowledge, more than me, about the Dutch prisoners, but he told me, well, my English is not so good. So we discussed, perhaps we can do writing articles together, that he can give me the facts, for instance, and that I will help him to write the article for the newsletter.
Good.
Yeah, I think that would be a good suggestion.
Excellent suggestion.
I heard already, I must regret that I haven't looked in the newsletter up to now. I spoke with a lot of people when I came in, so I haven't seen now the last newsletter. But I was told that Michael made a quiz, and that the quiz is in it, or it's with a witness. Right. I haven't seen the quiz. Michael made it himself. I hope that you will be interested to join it, and you can win the book, a Dutch book, written by Leo de Hartog, which I said I think it's the best book written by the Dutch. If you like, I can show you the book. I take it with me with some other Dutch books to have a look in it. And if you win the book, it will of course be signed by Leo de Hartog. So it will be a special book for the winner. Right, the last thing, Marco also has organized an exhibition about 1 year ago in Rotterdam. David came over at the time to open, which we of course appreciate. You did. Now Marco is planning another exhibition, and well, the first thing is not now to ask David to come over again to open it. I could do, of course, but it's not the intention of my talk now. But he is preparing the exhibition, which will be in August or September. He doesn't know exactly the date. It's an exhibition about the Dutch prisoners of war. I don't like to make advertisement for Holland, but if there is anybody who would like to come to the exhibition, of course you are welcome. Perhaps you can make a short holiday in Holland. The exhibition is in Rotterdam, in a big city, so it will be good, well, easy to get there. And you know where it is. It's in the museum, in the War Museum from Mr. Ali Mas. Perhaps you met him. Yeah. Good man. I spoke to him some weeks ago. Well, that's, in fact, I want to tell you, if you have any suggestion or remarks, or you want to know we are looking for books, come to me during the meeting. I hope you will have the time to get them. I have brought some Dutch books and some photographs, so if you would like to see them, I would be pleased to hear. Well, thank you for listening. Thank David, give me the time to have to speak, and I wish you a pleasant meeting. Thank you very much.
I just add that I was very much second fiddle at the meeting in Holland to Tender Retain, of course, who was the main Guinness at that point. Very strong. Well, thank you very much, Mario, for that. So have a go at the question. I have nothing else. Kenneth, would you like to speak for a few minutes on the association?
Well, perhaps you ought to
Yeah, we'll do this first and then they can come down.
Okay. Well, I've got nothing else, I don't think. Michael?
Right, okay. Oh, yeah. Right, there we go. Well, first of all, the newsletter. I've just seen it. You may remember the last newsletter, I was a bit disappointed. I wasn't a bit, I was very disappointed in. Not only were the photographs very badly reproduced, but also he got the date wrong. We had January 95 instead of January 96 and things like that. Anyhow, having said that, of course that would be a collector's item, won't it? But having looked at this newsletter now, we were looking, because the point is, our problem is it's a small society and we don't have that much money in the bank. And so therefore we were looking at somebody, and in all fairness to the last people who were doing the newsletter, they did it as a favour. I mean, they're only charging us £100 for 100 issues, so that's 100 copies, so that's £1 a copy. So really we couldn't complain. But we was looking for somebody else to do it. And David, fortunately, came up with the person. I think the chap who was doing it for David had his arm twisted slightly, because I believe he does all the rugby tour brochures and things, so I don't think he had, but anyhow he's doing it for the same price, and that is the result. And if any of you had a look at it, I'm very, very pleased with it. I mean, the paper's good, the photographs are good, everything is excellent. If we can keep on with that, then we will be very lucky. But, and it's even stable, I say. But the only thing is that he will only do it as long as it's cost effective for him to do it. And at the moment, this is all we can afford. So, you know, Adrian will be making this plea, I think, but we are looking for funds. We have started it off by the raffle today, and I know that everybody's given generously. We will offer any last-minute ones who forgot to do it. And also, we've got a video which David is very kindly offered to make for us of the meeting, and Kenneth and Dominic and Kenneth have very kindly allowed us to video them, and what we're going to do, I don't know if this is against the law, I don't know anything about the law myself, but if in actual fact we're doing something wrong in selling these videos, so be it, but that's what we're going to do afterwards. We're going to offer it to members here and abroad, and so we look forward to that. We have got membership, and David touched on this very briefly. According to our records, we've got 49 members now, and we're coming up for the 50th. And we've got 2 contenders for the 50th membership, and that is a person who's advertised on the back page, who is receiving stamps, and I'll come into that in a minute. And another gentleman who got in touch with Colin Burgess, and incidentally, regarding Colin, you know he wrote Diggers from Colditz. I don't know if any of you've got that book, but he's coming over to see me next week, and he's going to stay the day. Now, if any of you have got a copy of the book here today, then I'll get him to sign it for you. Or if any of you want him to sign a piece of paper which you can put in the book, I mean, I like to have all my books signed if I can. So I'll ask him to do it, and I think he'd only do pleased to do it. I don't think he's got any of the copies left, but it's coming out in paperback in the very near future by Kangaroo Press, and I dare say that Adrian will have a few of them down at Foyles, and there's going to be new photographs, and there's going to be a bit on it about Bill Fowler, which he couldn't do in the last, in the original copy, and he's going to do the aftermath as well. He's going to say what's happening to the Australians who are in Colditz, what their position is today. I think that'd be a book for the show. There's no doubt about that. The other contender is a chap from America. Now we are truly international. We've got Dutch, we've got 2 from Germany, isn't it? We've got New Zealand, we've got Canada, we've got Australia, and we've got some from America. And you know that the 69th Infantry Division, who liberated Colditz, are honorary members of the Society as well. And I get regular correspondence from a number of their members. But we've also got some Americans, and in addition, I've got this chap here who wrote to me, and I couldn't understand what he was saying because his writing seemed very strange to me. But it all comes true. He wants to join the society. He's got all the Pat Reed's books. He's got loads of books on Colditz, and he's very, very keen. And he ends up by saying, "Thank you for answering my letter. Sorry we was tardy in answering. It was beaver trapping and shipped off 51 beavers to Canada for auction last week." So I mean that is truly, you know, right across the board. And I think it'd be a good addition to our society. So he may be the 50th, and if he is the 50th, I think what we're going to try and do is get a Colditz book and get some Colditz members like Kenneth and Bruce and Dominic to sign it. Who knows? Now that's that. I'm going to quickly come to the end now because I know we're really waiting for our speakers to give us a talk. Adrian asked me to mention, it's going on about money again. I think the subscriptions are going up this year, aren't they? Yes, they are. And he said that in the May 94 meeting that we had here, it cost us £69. In the July 95, it cost us £10. In the November 95, it cost us £60. And so far, he's received £105 for this meeting, which is going to cost us £120 odd. So we run these meetings at a loss, funny enough. So we've really got to boost things up. However, this meeting won't be a loss because I know so far we've made about £80 or something like that. No, about £50 after we paid for the goods we bought in the auction. So that's good. So things are on the up and up. And that really is all I'm going to say for the moment because we really come to hear Dominic and Kenneth.
It's quite refreshing to hear an ex-policeman saying there's nothing about the law. That's what I'm saying. Deliberately. Well, unless there are no urgent points from the floor, nice to get a dump jack for a member.
Yeah, that's right. Or a beaver trap.
If there's no pressing points from the floor, then I'd like to continue with our 2 gentlemen who are Dominic and Kenneth. If Kenneth, perhaps like to come up first and speak about the association briefly, and then Dominic, the floor is yours. So I'd like to introduce you first, if you don't mind, Dominic. No. So Kenneth.
If you don't mind, I'll do it down. Now, the association, sadly, we're reducing in numbers. We've lost, as David told you, 3. Our numbers now, we have 60 in the British Isles, and including Peter Allen in Belgium and those in France. We've got 4 in my profession. There are 5 in Australia. One of whom is Jack Millett, who never, once you've written to him and had his reply, that's it. You can write as much as you like, you never write again. He's written, that's it. That's Jack. There are 4 in Canada, 3 in New Zealand, 1 in Kenya, 2 in South Africa. Makes our total 8. That's all we are left at the moment. As a matter of interest, I was just checking through. Of the originals up to the end of 1942, there are only 28 of us, which I found rather surprising, perfectly true. Other than that, the association has been what one might term quiet. There was the usual AGM and lunch last October. We shall have another one next October. But we've got, we're all getting older, we can't travel. So that's that. Now, I've got a true story for you. There's a padre, a vicar, and he'd done a burial, and he put the body at the end of a road. And after it was all done, the service, the son came up and said, look, you put that body in the wrong place. Mum wanted to be next to Dad. That's not, he's not in that road, he's in another road. So they went and checked the records, and sure enough, that was right. So when they got rid of the undertakers and various characters, the vicar spoke to the sexton and said, well, what are we going to do about this? So the sexton said, well, as you know, if you take a body out of the ground and take it right up to the top, you've got to get Home Office permission, you've got to inform the police, they've got to be there, you've got to inform the local all the various old people in the town hall, and you have to put a tent over it, and you have to do it at night. So he had been, I would mention, in the services. And he thought for a moment, he said, well, the obvious answer is, they found out that all the body was there, and it should have been there in the next row. The obvious answer is to dig a tunnel, move the body to the next place. So they looked at it and thought, no, I didn't think that. They thought that was too big an operation. So he then thought back and said, I know what the answer is. It's a slit trench, which they'd done. Moved the body over, and that was fine. Now this is a true story. The vicar was a Colditz. And there are more similar stories which are to be found. And there is your answer. Mr. Woo's log. Mr. Woo is a canoe. And it's all about the canoe captivity and the cloth, and it's John Beaumont. And the log is he did a beating of the bounds of his parish in the canoe. It's very amusing and it's good fun, but I got this only a couple of days ago. And of course I just flipped it open. What do? I found the grave error. That's the first thing I read. But if you want copies of this thing, you can get it from John Beaumont. It will cost you £5.50, including post. But
Do you get an address?
John Beaumont's address, yes. You can have that. There you are. I'd never heard of it before, and I hadn't realised that John had he literally put the whole thing on paper for his grandchildren. But there's more in it about his captivity, and of course he was the chap who hid himself under the leaves. And there were one or two other bits he's written about his captivity before he came to Colditz. So there you are.